Hi all, welcome to lecture 4 of module 3 in database management system. So we can continue with our discussion on SQL. Today we are going to see a new topic on SQL, which is SubQuery, which is also known as nested query. So what is a subquery or a nested query? Sometimes for getting certain information, we will be writing multiple queries. So for getting that information, we'll be writing multiple queries. So those queries, multiple queries, must be combined into a single query. That is called as a subquery. Okay, so how can we write those multiple queries? We can write that query in such a way that we can write the query in another query. Okay, we will write one query. Inside that query, we will write another query. Clear? So that is called a nested query or subquery. Clear? So a query inside another query is called a nested query or subquery. Okay, in nested loop and all, we all know. Nested loop means inside one loop there will be another loop. Similarly, inside one query we will be placing another query. Okay, so that is called a subquery or nested query. Sometimes to get a particular information from a database, you may need to fire two separate SQL queries. Okay, for getting certain information, we should be writing multiple queries. So how can we arrange those multiple queries? Subquery is a way to combine or join them in a single query. So subquery is a method to combine those multiple queries into a single query. Okay. So how can we divide those? How can we identify which is the inner query and which is the outer query? How can we identify those queries? Okay, so this is an example. Consider this is a syntax. Select star from table name where condition. Okay, so in this query we will be writing another query. Okay, this is one query. Inside the where clause of the first query, we will be writing the another query. Okay, so this query which is written inside one query is called a inner query, and this is called a outer query. Okay, so you always remember that the inner query will be written in the where clause of the outer query. Okay, inner query will be written at the where clause of the or the where condition of the outer query. Okay, so this is the syntax of a nested query or subquery. Okay, so if we want, we can write more queries inside this one. Okay, inside this query we can write the inner queries. Okay, it will be in a nested fashion. Okay, for this query we are having an inner query like this. For this query we can have more inner query. Clear? This is called a nested query. This is the syntax for the nested query. Clear? So a inner query will be always written in the where clause. That should be remembered. Okay. Now, next concept is how this execution happens. First, I have told that we are having two queries, inner query and outer query. So which query will be executed first? The inner query will be executed first. Okay, so inner query will be executed first. Okay, only after completing the execution of the inner query only, using that result only, we will be executing the outer query. Okay. So this is the syntax, the same thing. This is the inner query and this is the outer query. So SQL query which is on the inner part of the main query is called the inner query. Okay, so the query that is the part of the main query. So this is the main query. The query which is the part of the main query. The part of the main query is this one. This is called the inner query. Okay, while the outer part is called the outer query. Clear? So outer, this is the outer query and this is the inner query. Clear? The query which is inside the main query, the query which is inside the main query. This is the main query. The query which is inside the main query is the inner query, and the outer query is called the outer part is called the outer query. Clear? Now, writing more than two queries. As I said, we can here we are having only two queries. Suppose we can write more than two queries. Look at here, select star from table name, where condition. This is outer query. From there we are writing the inner query, select star from table name, where condition. Okay, in this inner query we are writing more inner queries. Okay, so where condition we are starting another inner query. Clear? So another inner query we are starting. Clear? So this is called a nested query or subquery. You can have more than two queries or n queries we can write in this fashion. Okay. Now classification of subquery. So a subquery is classified into two. We are having two classification of subquery: non-correlated subquery and a correlated subquery. Okay, these two concepts actually discuss the execution pattern of the queries. Okay, as I said that the inner query will be executed first, after that only outer query will be executed. Okay, that is applied for the non-correlated subquery. Okay, so non-correlated subquery means that the outer query is executed only after executing the inner query, which means that inner query will be executed first, only after outer query will be execution. So that is the execution order. That is called a non-correlated subquery. What about correlated subquery? Inner query is executed after executing the outer query. So first outer query will be executed, only after that inner query is getting executed. That is called correlated subquery. Okay, so in today's session we are going to discuss on the concept of non-correlated subquery. That is, outer query is executed after the execution of the inner query. Okay, so let us explain the non-correlated subquery in detail. So non-correlated subquery. Okay, as I said, outer query is executed after executing the inner query, which means the inner query is executed first, after that only outer query is executed. Okay, outer query depends on the result of the inner query. That is the next question. So why this inner query is executed? Okay, why this outer query is executed only after inner query? Because it is waiting for the result from inner query. Inner query is trying to get a result. Inner query is trying to get a result. That result must be fed to the outer query. Only after getting that result, outer query can execute. Okay, that is the concept. Clear? So that is what it is written like that. Outer query depends on the result from the inner query. So whatever result that is generated from the inner query, that will be given to the outer query for execution. Clear? Fine. Now we have further classification for the non-correlated subquery. Non-correlated subquery is further classified into two. What are they? Single row subquery and multiple row subquery. Okay, single row and multiple row subquery. So let us discuss those two concepts in detail. So single row subquery. So what is single row subquery? So single row subquery means the inner query, if the inner query returns only a single value, then it is called a single row subquery. Okay, when a subquery returns a single value, it is known as a single row subquery. When a subquery returns only a single value, it is called a single row subquery, which means that the inner query returns only a single value. That single value is given as a result for the outer query. Okay, so it uses operators for connecting these two queries. For connecting these two queries, we have certain operators. In single row subquery, we will be using operators like equal to, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. Okay, in multiple row subquery, we will be using another operator called in, that we will discuss in the later slides. Okay, So what is a single row subquery? You can get more clarity only if we will explain it using an example. Okay, so this is an example. This is the employee table that we are going to consider. So the question is, get the employee details from the table employee having the highest salary. Okay, we want to get the details of employee who is getting the highest salary. Okay, so from the table, as a human, we can easily find it out. That is 25,000 is the largest number. From that, who is the employee who is getting 25,000? Employee 101 Sham is getting the salary, the highest salary, which is 35,000 is the highest salary. Okay, 35,000 is the highest salary. So here John, employee 101 and 02 is getting the highest salary. By looking at the table, we can get the answer. But how can we direct the computer to generate the output? Okay, so for that we have to write the query. So how can we write the query? So we need to write two queries. First one, what the question is, get the employee details from the table employee having the highest salary. So first thing we have to write the inner query. Inner query means we have to get the maximum salary or the highest value. We have to write a query to get the highest value from this salary attribute. Okay, for that we are having an aggregate function called max that we have already discussed in the previous session. Okay, so when we call select max of salary, we will be getting the highest salary, highest value, 35,000 we can get. Okay, that is the inner query. Then outer query is what? Get the employee details from the table. Okay, so you will get the employee details. Select star from employee. Select star from employee where salary equal to this one. Okay, now let us see the step-by-step procedure for writing this subquery or nested query. Example, the question is this one. So for step one what? We will write the inner query. So this is the table. Okay, this is the question. So we are going to get the employee, the question is to get the employee details from the table employee having the highest salary. So we will write the inner query. Inner query is the first step. Okay, what is the inner query we are going to take? We are going to write the highest salary. Okay, we are going to fetch the highest salary. What is the query we can write? Select max of salary from employee. If we write this query, the result will be the highest value from the salary attribute, which is 35,000, which will be retrieved. Okay, then after that we will write the outer query. Outer query, what is required? We require the employee details from the table. Okay, employee details whose salary is the highest one. Okay, so you will write the outer query like this: select star from employee. So we need employee details. So the entire table we want entire details we want. That is employee ID, employee name, and salary. All the attributes we require. So we write the star. We write using the star. Select star from employee where, okay, salary must be highest salary. So salary equal to, okay, salary equal to. After that we will write the inner query. Clear? So that is, this query will be coming here. So this query will be coming here. Okay, that is a step 2. In step 3, what will we do? We will combine these two. That is subquery equal to outer query plus inner query. Okay, so our query will be like this. Final query will be like this: select star from employee where salary equal to, what is that? Salary equal to the inner query. Salary equal to select max salary from employee. Okay, so this is the procedure. So the result of this table will be like this. The result of this query will be like this. So Mr. John with the employee ID 102 is getting the highest salary, which is 35,000. Clear? So this is how we can write. Clear? So which means that this question means that we require 2 queries to get the result. This question requires 2 queries to get the result. So in order to combine these 2 queries, we will be using the concept of subquery. Okay, fine. Now looking at the question, most of them will be having the doubt that can we directly apply the max function here? Select star from employee where salary equal to max of salary. That will be correct? No, it will not be correct. Okay, that is a wrong assumption everybody is having. Select star from employee where salary equal to max of salary. This cannot be applied. Why? Because this max, this is an aggregate function. This aggregate function cannot be applied or cannot appear in the where clause. That is one concept. Okay, this max of salary or this aggregate function cannot appear in the where condition or the where clause. So this is wrong. Okay, usually when we give this question, most of the students will be writing the query like this. Okay, when they see the highest salary or the highest value, they will write max of salary. Okay, that is wrong. Okay, this aggregate function like max, count, then we discussed average, sum, all those things cannot be applied in the where clause. Okay, so that is a wrong assumptions everybody is having. So that is not possible. So only this is the right way. Okay, so this is called a single row subquery. Okay, why single row subquery? Because the inner query is returning only a single value. That is called a single row subquery. Now suppose if the inner query is getting multiple, returning multiple values, then how can we modify this query? We can discuss the concept of multiple row subquery. So in single row subquery, we have discussed that the subquery that returns a single value. But here the subquery returns more than a single value. It is known as multiple row subquery. So in the previous section, we have seen that in the inner query, they have returned only a single value, max of salary. But here the inner query will be returning more than one value. In that case, what can we do? Okay, only difference is the same query we can write, the same concept is there, only difference is there. For connecting the inner query and the outer query, we use a operator called in. That is only difference. Previously, we have used operators like relational operators like equal to, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. But here, instead of that, we use a operator called in. That is only difference here. Okay. So that is the concept of multiple row subquery. So when a subquery returns more than a single value, it is known as multiple row subquery. It uses operator in. Cannot use the operator equal to, less than, greater than, and so on. Okay. So here we are going to see an example. The same table previously we have seen. Only thing is we are going to add one more column, which is department name. Okay, so they have asked here to display the employee details whose department name is same as the department of employee John or Eben. Okay, which means that we want to display the details of employee whose department name is same as that of the department in which Eben and John is working. Okay, this which means that look at the department where Eben and John is working. John is working in CSE, Eben is working in electrical. Okay, so we want to display other employees along with these two employees. We also want to display any other employees who are working in computer science as well as electrical. Any other employee is there? Yes, Sham is working in computer science. No other employees in CSE. But in electrical, along with Eben, Benny is also there in the electrical. Okay, so the result of this query will be these four rows. These 4 tuples will be the result of this query. Okay. Now let us now discuss how can we write the inner query as well as the outer query. Okay, so the inner query, we will extract the department of Abin or John. That is our first task. Okay, in the outer query, we will display the employee details. Okay, that is our task. So let us see in detail. Multiple row subquery, the same question. This is our table. So first we write the step 1 is for writing the inner query. So select the inner query, we are going to retrieve the department name of John or Ebin. That is our first task. So select department name from employee. The table name is employee, where employee name equal to John or Ebin. Okay, they have written or John or Ebin. Okay, so employee name equal to John or Ebin. This is inner query. Now outer query. So this inner query will be executed first. Now in outer query. So what is outer query? We will display the employee details. Select star from employee. Okay, employee details whose department is same as the department of John or Ebin. So where department name where D name in. So instead of any relational operator, we use the operator in. Clear? So after in we will write the inner query. What is the inner query? This one. This will come here. So finally we will combine these two queries, inner as well as outer query. So subquery equal to outer query plus inner query. So select star from employee where D name in, open the bracket, select department name. Okay, it's not department, DPT, it is department name from employee where E name equal to John or Ebin. Okay, so this is the query. Select star from employee where department name, D name in. Okay, it is the operator that is used to connect the outer query as well as the inner query. Okay, inside the open bracket we will write the inner query. Select D name from employee where employee name, E name equal to John or Ebin. Okay, so why we have used this operator in? Because this inner query will return multiple values. Okay, for example, for department name CSC and electrical, there are multiple values. Okay, Shyam, John, Ebin, Benny. Okay, many values are there. Okay, so this is why we are using this concept. Clear? So this is our query and this is the result we are getting. Okay, as I said, first 4 rows, first 4 tuples will be displayed, except the last one, which is Benny. He is Sujit. He is in mechanical department. That will not be there. Okay, so this is our result. Now another thing is that this same query can be also written like this. Only thing that instead of this E name equal to, instead of this equal to operator, we can write in. Okay, so this is also correct. That is select star from employee where D name in the inner query, select D name from employee where E name in John, comma Ebin. Okay, so this is also correct. Okay, so this is called a subquery. Clear? So multiple row subquery and single row subquery. Now let us see one more example. So this is a table called employee, another employee table. So they have asked to retrieve the employee name, job, salary of the employee whose salary is less than the salary of the employee whose employee number is 7876. So which means that we need to write 2 queries. The first inner query, in the inner query we want to retrieve the salary of the employee with the employee number 7876. That is the first task. Okay, that is we have to retrieve the employee name, job, salary of the employee whose salary is less than whose salary, the salary of the employee of 7876. So first we need to retrieve the salary of 7876. That is our first task. Clear? Look at here. So we will find out the salary of the employee whose employee number is 7876. The query is like this: select salary from employee where employee number equal to 7876. This is the inner query. So look here, this inner query will have only a single value, because the employee 7876 can have only a single salary. Okay, so the result of this only will be a single value. Okay, so this comes under single row subquery. So we can use the operator we can use a relational operators as equal to, greater than, anything. Okay. Now in the outer query what is required? We require the employee name, job, salary of the employee. Okay, that first we want to require that. Okay, select name, job, salary from employee. Okay, whose salary is less than. Okay, where salary must be less than this value. Salary must be less than the inner query. Okay, so we can combine these two queries into a single query, single subquery, like this. Select employee name, job, salary from employee, where salary less than. Here the operator is less than the inner query. What is the inner query? Select salary from employee, where employee name equal to 7876. Okay, so this is called a single row subquery. This is an example for single row subquery. Another example: retrieve the employee name, job, salary of the employee whose job is same as that of Miller. Okay, we want to retrieve the name of the employee, job of the employee, and salary of the employee whose job is same as that of Miller's job. Okay, who is Miller? He is the Miller. Miller is having the job clerk. Okay, Miller is having the job clerk. Okay, is there any other person who is clerk? Yes, Smith is clerk, Adams is clerk, James is clerk. So along with Miller we are having 3 more person. They are having the job clerk. Okay. Okay, so our query will be like this. So select so we first write the inner query. What will be the inner query? The inner query is we want to retrieve the job of Miller. That is our first task. So the first task is select job from employee, where e name equal to Miller. Okay, so employee name is Miller, whose job we want to extract. Okay, that we have extracted, and it is written in the inner query. What will be the outer query? From the outer query we have to retrieve the employee name, job, salary of the employee. So the outer query will write select employee name, job, salary from employee, where job must be, which one? Job must be equal to, we cannot write equal to, why? Because the inner query is extracting, inner query is retrieving multiple values. So we cannot write equal to, instead of that we can write in operator. Clear? So where job in, then we write the inner query, select job from employee, where employee name equal to Miller. Okay, also we can write employee name in Miller, that is also possible. Okay, so this is an example for what? Multiple row subquery. Clear? Multiple row subquery. So this is the output. So select ename, job, salary from employee, where job in, select job from employee, where ename equal to Miller. So this is the output. Okay, along with Miller we are also having 3 other person who has the job clerk. Okay, so this is a very important concept, the subquery or the nested query. Clear? Okay, we need to cover one more concept, which is correlated subquery, that we can discuss in the next session. Okay, thank you.